X-Pac 12360. Featuring weekly news, insider commentary, and interviews with superstars, past and present from the world of pro wrestling.
A new day is dawning for DX.
And now, your host, Sean X-Pac Waltman.
Our guest at this time represented Guam in the 2004 Summer Olympics as a freestyle wrestler in the light heavyweight division. He debuted in Lucha Underground and Aztec Warfare to win the Lucha Underground Championship. He's based mostly in NorCal APW, Pro Wrestling Bushido, Supreme Pro Wrestling, ranked number 50 in a PWI Top 500. Is that still a thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Our guest right now is Jeff Cobb, a.k.a. Matanza.
Lucha Underground's own
Hey, Jeff.
the monster
Hey,
Matanza
I'm usually not the one that gives the introduction, so that was a little rough. I apologize. I'm very grateful that you came on the show today, though. Thank you, man.
Oh, my pleasure, man. Thank you for having me on. And I think you did a great job.
Do you? Okay. Oh, man. So, right before we came on the air, I was asking you about, because at first I thought you were still living in Hawaii, and I was thinking to myself, man, what a MFer that must be to fly to all these shows from Hawaii. But no, not now. You're in the Sacramento area now, huh?
Yeah, I did that like 2 or 3 shows, like fly out for a weekend and then fly back, and it was rough, man. It's a 5-hour flight from the West Coast, so
Just
adding
just
that
to
on.
get to Hawaii,
Yeah.
huh?
Yeah, well, 5 hours from Hawaii just to get to L.A. and then
man.
from L.A. to wherever else you got to go. If you have a show on the East Coast, that must be brutal. But Jeff, we know you're a hell of an amateur wrestler, and representing Guam in the Olympics and everything. Did you have a love of pro wrestling before that?
Oh yeah, I mean that's why I became an amateur wrestler, because I thought it was pro wrestling, and yeah, it just blossomed from there. I mean, I was a fan since I could remember. Just like Hulk Hogan was actually the guy that got me into it. I mean, I'm sure he did that for everybody.
Did you grow up in Guam?
No, I grew up in Hawaii.
Okay, so you were you GI, like your dad in the military or something?
My dad was in the Army, but I was born and raised there, and I grew up there, and then we moved to Guam a little bit after that.
And I was just curious as how you ended up representing Guam instead of the United States.
Well, we moved to Guam from Hawaii. We had a little financial problems, and my mom's side is from there, so we ended up just moving in with my grandmother.
I wrestled in Guam one time in like 90, I think it was 94, 95 on the way back from, like we wrestled. You were there?
I was at that show.
At the field house? I was gonna ask you, man. It was like a roll of the dice if you were there or not. But I'm thinking like, wow, he's from Guam. I wonder if he was actually at the show the one time I was ever in Guam. And you were there.
Yeah, that was 94, because I was. I don't want to date myself, but that was in 94. I remember going to school and just wanting to get the heck out of there, because I had to go. Like, I wanted to be there, just hang out there the whole time. And it was awesome, man.
Who'd you wrestle?
Who did I? It was probably like, I don't know, Rick Martel or something like that. It was somebody that was on the Japanese tour with us. But Jeff, that's the only venue they have in Guam that you can really do anything at, right? That field house. And what is it? It doesn't even have bleachers. It's like it holds a couple thousand, 2,000-3,000 people.
Yeah, well, that's actually the college, the college field house. I guess they have. It's normally like a basketball. Big basketball games go on there. Like the championships for high schools usually go on over there. So.
Is there a bigger venue and we just couldn't fill it up back in the day?
No, that was the biggest venue looking back, it's probably the biggest venue they could have housed something like that.
Yeah. So you thought when you were younger that you had to get into amateur wrestling to be a pro wrestler?
No, I thought amateur wrestling was pro wrestling.
Oh, wow.
So what?
Yeah,
how'd you
wasn't
feel
too
when you
bright
showed
at
up and there was no?
They're like, where's the Ultimate Warrior face paint?
Where
Where are the tassels?
Where's the wrestling ring?
The ring?
Well, I mean, realistically, I thought I was like, what the heck's going on? But I spent all my money buying the wrestling shoes and getting a physical. So I figured I had to stick with it because, I mean, I spent all this money for it.
How old were you?
I was a freshman in high school.
Oh, wow. So, so you, like, saved up all your money to buy some wrestling shoes.
So, Jeff, you didn't start in amateur wrestling until you were a freshman in high school, and yet you ended up in the 2004 Olympics. That's pretty insane to me.
Yeah.
Well, that was the only thing I was good at, really.
Now you're pretty damn good at pro wrestling too. I've been on a few shows with you, man.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
So, what was the opening ceremony like? Because you got to be the flag bearer for Guam. How was that, like, experience for you? Just that entire.
Oh, it was great. It was crazy, man. It's like it's such a crazy experience, but it's like being in the tunnel for the stadium, and we're just waiting, and then they give us the go ahead, and then we're walking, and there's like, it's like I think they said it was like 80,000 people were in there.
Holy shit.
It was just, if that's true, it was 80,000 people, all eyes on each contingent that comes out, and it was such an honor, man. It was awesome, man. It's such a crazy ass experience.
Yeah, I can about imagine like coming out and representing the country you were born in.
Literally, and like the flag bearer, the first holding the flag of your country, so all eyes are on you.
And it just saying that I'm an Olympian, like that's about as big as you get as far as sports. As far as I'm concerned, like nobody works harder than Olympic athletes. Yeah,
was getting that tattoo a huge accomplishment for you when you finally got the Olympic rings tattooed on your back?
Oh yeah, I mean, I've never had the urge to get tattoos, but that one was pretty significant for me. So just getting it was pretty awesome too.
Hey, so Jeff, you it said you were trained by Oliver John. Was that in Hawaii?
No, that was in Sacramento.
Oh, okay.
Did you train at APW as well with like Mike Modis and Roland Alexander and those guys?
No, APW was the company that actually flew up from Hawaii to wrestle in. That was in 2012.
So you were going from Hawaii to NorCal and wrestling in NorCal, and then you just decided to move to NorCal because more companies were booking you there?
Yeah, I mean, because like in Hawaii, there's only one company, and they run once a month. And I just figured, I mean, I'd done everything I could over there. I just figured like I'm not going to get noticed being in Hawaii, like so far away. So I had to just get to the quote unquote mainland to get some exposure.
Well, what do you think really got you noticed in that mainland? Because for me, seeing your moves and watching your highlight clips on YouTube, I was like, this guy's awesome. And then I finally heard you were coming to PWG, and then your match with Hero at PWG, and it just seemed like skyrocket from there.
Honestly, it was PWG that got my name out there more. I mean, like Lucha Underground definitely helped, but it's difficult because I'm under a mask over there. And, I still get people up to this day. My character debuted like 2 years ago, and I still get people that come up to me today like, oh, that's you? So, I definitely credit the PWG, like the current PWG run to getting a lot more exposure out there.
Was that hard for you to be told, like, we're going to put you in this mask and you're going to be a completely different character? Were you thinking, like, oh, man, what happens to Jeff Cobb? All this hard work I've been putting into making Jeff Cobb a name and a character, and now I get to be whatever. It's not even like you knew what Matanza was or that he was written so highly for the Lucha show that you were, like, risking it, rolling the dice, so to speak, not knowing what you were going to do?
At first I was kind of bummed about being under a mask. I didn't really. I mean, at the time when they told me the character, I didn't really comprehend or grasp what it was. But like at the time, like I was just looking for any exposure to get my name out there, and then I just figured it's just something to expand on me personally, instead of being the same person over and over in every indie company. That I could, as an actor, I guess, try to get different ranges, I guess, or different characters played.
Do you feel comfortable?
So,
do you feel comfortable under the mask now?
Yeah, I mean, I've done it for so long in so many matches that like I just gotten kind of used to it already.
How hard was it at first? Because if you watch that first mask or that first match, it looks like you pull the mask kind of sideways at moments during it, like you're struggling to breathe. Was that a big issue?
Oh yeah, definitely. That that sucker is so hard to breathe in. Yeah, like I mean, I would hope that they edited those things out, but yeah, I definitely. There was a couple of times where I was like, "Sweet Jesus, it's hot in here."
Yeah, actually,
I mean, plus it's hot. It's hot. It's hot in general as is in that building. So yeah, it was pretty rough at times.
I actually got to see you do a dark match at Lucha Underground as Jeff Cobb, and that was the first time I'd ever seen or heard of you. And I was so blown away at seeing your dark match, and I was just thinking, like, man, this guy's definitely going to get a job at Lucha Underground. And then I got to see one of your first matches in the full Matanza gimmick, and like Jimbo was saying, like, and this was edited out of the show, but I saw you just basically pull the whole mask up and suck some air, and I just felt so bad for you, because I was saying, like, man, he's killing it out there, but he might be killing it out there.
I mean,
oh yeah, I mean, yeah. There was a time like, because we watch it in the back on the monitors, and there was one match in particular that everybody they saw that the camera was right on me, and like I was over there sucking air because it was really hot this one day, and I was dying.
do you take that? Do you get booked on other shows with that mask gimmick?
No, I mean, as of now, it's owned specifically for Lucha Underground, but I mean, I think they're trying to work a deal out where like companies can book.
So it'd be like how companies
can book the character.
Penta 0M and not Pentagon Jr. kind of thing, and Ray Phoenix instead of just Phoenix, like that situation.
I think it's a whole different situation, Jeff.
Yeah, theirs is a whole different situation.
Because they were kind of those characters before Lucha Underground, so they could still kind of be those characters out of Lucha Underground.
They left AAA with that. Like,
oh.
They just, it's a big.
Yeah, that's a big convoluted mess when you start talking about that and the legal, like getting involved in like lawsuits and all that down there. Those things can go on for years. Like, I don't want to go off into the weeds here, but like Mascara Sagrada, like for 15 years was, and I think is still maybe fighting legally.
The whole L.A. La Parka thing.
Yeah, all of that.
Oh,
so
wow.
yeah, it's
I didn't
just
even think of that.
It's crazy. But Jeff, I saw you at PWG recently, not the last one, but I think maybe the one before, and it was you and Mike.
Him and Riddle.
Oh, was that you and Riddle?
In a tag match?
Yeah.
Against the Chris brothers?
No, who's it? The
Bucks? No.
effing machines.
Oh, the Unbreakable effing machines.
Yeah.
Michael Elgin and Brian Cage.
Yeah, that was insane, man. And then I saw you guys in when I was at the Cow Palace when we had that show there, and it was you. It was you. Oh.
It was recently.
Yeah, but it was a tag match, Jeff. Who were you in the match with? Because I know Cage was in there, and I know John Morrison was in there, and there was another big.
Yeah, it was a 4-way for the APW Heavyweight Championship.
That wasn't a tag match?
No, it was a fatal 4-way.
Okay. It was a hell of a match, though. That was the one that people were into the most. That's what I go by. Like, even if you don't watch the match, which I did happen to that one. Like, you can just tell just by what you hear, you know. And the thing I noticed the most is like, you can suplex pretty much anyone from pretty much any position, and I'm just trying to figure out the logistics of that. Like, as far as like, you know, it kind of breaks the laws of physics a little bit, man.
Well, thank you. honestly sometimes I don't know how to do it. I guess they say farmer strength or whatnot. But
yeah, but also I think maybe we get it from the people too. Like we draw that energy from the people. But I shouldn't say we because I could never do that in a million years. How'd that end up? Did that end up happening on accident one time? I mean, the way you're just going into all these different crazy angles with it.
Yeah, I mean, when I was training to be a pro wrestler, I was trying to, like I like Taz because I like the suplex because I'm not exactly the tallest guy I'm out there, so I like like the shorter guys who could like
low center of gravity
third angles and the low center of gravity guys, and I like those kind of guys, and so I try to patent it my moveset based off of those kind of characters and whatnot. So I just figured I'd throw people, and then I figure out different ways to throw people, and hopefully it stuck, and it's done me pretty good so far.
Different, like when you say different ways, it's an understatement, man, because I just don't think if someone's never seen some of these suplexes you've done, like it's just I know I'm being redundant here, but it's just incredible.
Well, yeah, and how do you come up with like, okay, I'm going to catch you in a German suplex, and then I'm going to twist you like a baby, and then I'm going to throw you behind me? Like, where do you come up with doing some of these moves? How do you practice that?
Really, I really don't know. I kind of just did it one day, and I was like, and people are like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like, okay, well, I'll keep doing it then.
So when somebody's getting ready to go for one of those rides, do they even know exactly what the ride's going to be? Do you even know?
Okay, so normally when people ask me, or for talking about a match or whatnot, I'll tell them what I do.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they're like, wait, what? I don't get it. Or if they haven't seen a clip or something, then I'll just say, honestly, I'll just say, hey, just relax, I'll take care of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Sean's totally right. I was one of the things that impressed me so much when I saw that first dark match in Lucha Underground was the tour of the islands is one of the craziest moves I've ever seen, one of the coolest moves I've ever seen. And I'm a huge move nerd, and I just there's something about taking a power slam and going the other way with it that's so insane looking.
Yes.
And is that one that, I mean, can you take us through how you came up with the tour of the islands, and also is that a move that you need to make sure that someone else knows how to take properly, or is that just sort of I'm strong enough, I can do it no matter what?
Well, it's funny because I saw one of my buddies do it in Hawaii. Because he used to train, or he trains currently with AFA down in Florida. Mm-hmm. So he came, he did that during a match, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And he's like, yeah, I don't want to use it anymore. I was like, well, then if that's cool, can I use it? So I started using it as one of my moves, because that wasn't my finisher at the time. And then I started getting a little bit bigger and heavier, and I was like, I can't. My original finisher was the shooting star from the top rope.
Oh gosh.
And then I was like, you know what? I can't. That's just not good for my knees and just everything in general. So I switched it up to that. And people there was a couple guys that were saying that the tour of the islands is a lot more impressive visually than. So I just started using that after a while, and for the most part, people take it correctly. I had one guy that, I was telling him, oh, so this is how you take it. He's like, don't worry, I know how to take it. And then he took it the wrong way, and his feet were under him when we landed, and that was his fault. So he only sprained his ankle.
Oh man. So speaking of the tour of the islands, Eric Rowan used a kind of version of this on SmackDown, I believe, recently. What are your thoughts on people kind of trying to take, I guess you would say, your move and maybe put their little spin on it and use it, but it's not as cool?
Well, you know what? Realistically, I mean, every move is pretty much a variation of another move, so I don't take it too personal. Because apparently Michael Tarver used this move before, but I really I never saw him do it. So
yeah, but they didn't do it like you do it, Jeff. You put your own. You put your own special little stank on the end of it, and it's just It's just, I've
It
seen the
looks
way.
super believable too.
It didn't even
coming
look
from
like the
you.
same move. It doesn't even look like the same move Tarver did back
It
then.
looks like it looks like a video game finisher.
Yeah.
It doesn't look real.
And you know what?
Yeah,
you seem strong enough that you could do that to just about anyone. It
you
seems
did it
like.
to Keith Lee, didn't you? At PWG recently, you guys were both tossing each other around. It was like Godzilla versus King Kong.
Yeah, that was a fun one. I honestly didn't think I could do it for a guy that size, but I guess like Sean was saying earlier, I mean, once that adrenaline gets going, you can pretty much do almost anything.
Wow, we're looking at a clip here. We're looking at a clip of some of the moves. It's like a highlight clip of that match with Keith Lee, and wow, man, T-boning him right here.
Yeah. That's a big boy. And then, how does it feel when someone like Keith Lee is tossing you around? Because I'm sure that doesn't happen to you very often.
Yeah, it's very interesting because it's a rarity for me. So sometimes I get a little scared, like I get a little nervous sometimes because I'm not used to have my body over my head.
It's good to get a taste of our own medicine once in a while, Jeff.
Oh yeah, it was really fun. It was really fun.
Yeah,
I don't want to keep doing that, but
right.
Yeah, both Jimbo and I were.
It was super fun.
Both Jimbo and I were in the house for that match, and that was, I mean, people were having the most fun that match of the entire night. But one thing I wanted to ask you is I wanted to ask you about your WrestleMania week experience this week in Orlando, because this is really your first week, really being like, because I mean, Jeff Cobb really became a name into itself this year, and I wanted to know. This is your first week with high exposure as Jeff Cobb, taking part in that WrestleMania week. I wanted to know your general experience and how many matches you ended up wrestling that weekend, because I know Sami Callihan had 11 matches that weekend. I just wanted to know what the workload was like and what it was like to be around that many wrestling fans all wanting to see Jeff Cobb.
Well, first off, I did 5 shows, or 5 matches, I guess. Me personally, I didn't want to run from one venue to the other venue because I don't like to be. I'm not a big fan of being rushed.
Me either. I'm with you on that, man.
Yeah. And I wanted to, take it all in. Have like the full exposure of it instead of just going from point A to point B to C to D. Back and forth. So I wanted to interact with the fans that came to the specific shows. So I didn't want to take too many bookings, but I wanted to get a good amount. So I did 5, and it was perfect. Like a majority, like 4 of them were in the hotel that I was staying at WrestleCon. So
that's awesome.
Like I didn't have to travel far. Like 10 minutes I was home already, or 10 minutes I was back in my room showering. So it was great.
Hey Jeff, I don't want to go backwards too far here, but it was just something I was thinking about. Like we're talking about your amateur wrestling background and going that from amateur, and once you got into pro wrestling, it's a different kind of hard work. How was it for you making the transition?
Physically, I was fine. Because I was just coming off of when I started pro training. I just finished. Got out of college.
Yeah.
So I was in like probably some of the best shape I've ever been in. So like I was, the physical side of it was fine for me. The bumps, the run, the cardio aspect of it, I guess. Like that was fine for me.
But you're so much bigger. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off mid-sentence. Go ahead.
Oh no! Like the hard part for me was like the psychology of it, the psychology of wrestling, of pro wrestling, I guess.
Yeah, and I just know that you're quite a bit bigger now than you were when you were an amateur wrestler. Like, got to be like 60 pounds heavier, 50, 60 pounds heavier, right?
Yeah. And that I blame WWE for, but
how's that? Elaborate on that one.
Well, when I was obviously everybody wants to go to WWE. Like,
yeah.
So I did a little thing with them, and they wanted me to get bigger.
Oh, did they tell you that? Oh,
Yeah, well, this was like when I was like only like 215, 220.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, well, I got to get bigger. I'll get bigger. So I just started lifting more and less cardio and.
Did that
more
affect your
weight
wind?
and weight.
How was it? How was it getting in the ring, Jeff? Like as far as like, people can be in really good shape, have excellent cardio, and get in the wrestling ring and blow up in about a minute sometimes. And a lot of that's nerves or just anxiety about like not wanting to screw up and things like that. Do you ever experience any of that?
I know my first pro wrestling match, I was dying. Like it was a different breed. Like you said, being in the ring is different than being in cardio shape or being a weightlifter or whatever. Like it's tough, man. Like
and then when your mind starts going really fast, man, it makes you blow up even harder.
There's so many factors.
It's like a weird, like it's hard to explain. Like if you've actually done a wrestling match, then you'll know the difference. Like the first couple of matches I did was like I was dying, but it was great.
I have another question about making the transition from amateur to pro wrestling, especially in light of what you told us about gaining weight. How great a day was it for you the day you realized you never have to cut weight again?
Oh, wow.
Oh, it's the greatest feeling in the world. Like never having to eat a can of tuna for a whole day as my only meal is wonderful.
How do you feel about overall about cutting weight and young athletes having to cut weight, like high school athletes? It just seems really unhealthy, Jeff.
When I was in high school, it was a totally different breed than the high school kids nowadays.
Yeah.
Like when I was in high school, like we would put on like trash bags and sweats and then go run. And now, like you dare not do that because if you get caught, like your whole high school's in trouble, or you're probably suspended or whatnot. And now they have like a hydration test, so it's a little bit different. Like when I was in high school to now, like there's only a certain amount of weight you can actually drop per week. So, I mean, it's safer for the kids now.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Well, can we talk about Lucha Underground and returning tonight on the El Rey Network?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
we thought whatever you guys want, man.
Well, we were at a show earlier in season 3 where you fought Dragon Azteca Jr. and it was supposed to be some kind of hardcore.
It was a death match.
It was a death match. I knew it was some very lax rules match. And during this match, you guys are fighting. You fight up the stands. You fight into the back end of the temple, and you go to punch Dragon Azteca, and he moves, and you punch through this window and slit your arm open. Can you tell us about this situation?
Yeah, so you've seen the amount of glass panels they have up there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I was like, well, you know what? I could probably punch through a glass window, not a problem. Like I saw it on the Karate Kid.
On the Karate Kid.
Yeah, so he did it. So I think I could do it. So yeah, and I just punched through a glass, and I was like, oh, cool. Like it kind of hurt, and then it felt like warm liquid running down my hand, so it was really weird. And I looked down, and blood was squirting from my wrist. So I was like, oh crap.
Did they give you the option of having gimmicked glass in there?
They did, but again, sometimes wrestlers overthink stuff. Like, I mean, you've seen the amount of panels they have up there.
Yeah.
Like, I would have forgot which one was which. So
you would have punched.
That was
you would have punched the wrong one anyway and still cut yourself.
Yeah, I took full blame for that one. That was my fault.
So did that screw up the tapings? Because I know that match had to stop, and then they brought out, I think, Mundo and PJ, and they did a tag match against Ray and somebody else. But with the way Lucha plans on taping and shoots like a TV series, did that throw a wrench in the tapings for that in the following weekend and waiting for your hand to heal and what they were going to do?
No, because I was cleared like a week later. And we ended up filming it like 2 weeks after the incident. So, I mean, we only had to refilm that one match, so it wasn't too bad.
Well, that's good. So it wasn't that drastic of an injury then. It just seemed.
Yeah, no, like I mean, everybody, like a lot of people, like commented on it and like quote unquote reported it that I Goldberged myself. So
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought when they told me that they saw you do that. I'm like, oh, like the Goldberg thing, because when Goldberg did it though, that was a pretty bad. Yeah, I mean, like he was out for a little while because of that.
Yeah, he said he almost lost his arm or something. So.
Yeah, his was, I guess it's like the tendon, but for me it didn't. Like I wasn't near the tendon. It just cut a vein, so it wasn't as bad as Goldberg's.
Hey, go ahead, Jimbo.
I was gonna say, there's so much going on in the temple and so many moving parts. Are there any like unsung heroes there that don't get the credit they deserve and back in production, or like the people that come up with the costume designs or anything involving the temple or working backstage that, man, these guys really don't get the credit they deserve for making us look as good as we are?
Oh, definitely the costume guys. I mean, realistically, there's a ton of people that don't get the credit that they deserve. I mean, just the costume guys, the people that work there in general, that help us with everyday, day-to-day things like picking us up from the airport, taking us to grab whatever we need before the show, picking us up, taking us to the show, just every, like there's a handful of guys that don't get the credit, but I try to put them over on Facebook as much as I can, like when I tag them in posts and whatnot. So
it's good because when I went to WWF in 1993, like one of the first things that Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect, taught me when he took me under his wing was get to know all these production people, because they're the ones that make you look like a star, and so it's really good to acknowledge these people, Jeff, and I'm glad that you brought that up, Jimbo, because so often like none of those people ever get any of the praise they deserve.
Well, how much creative control do you have over your costume as Matanza? Like, did they come to you, or like, here are the designs we want, this is the mask we picture you having, or were you like, no, I think I'm going to wear overalls with blood, and I want something more like this, and black out my eyes?
No, well, they had a different costume in mind for me to wrestle in, and I didn't like it at all. Like it just restricted me in so. It was kind of like a. It honestly, it would have felt like I guess like kind of like a Braun Strowman outfit, like cargo pants and a singlet top kind of deal.
With a mask still, or no mask?
I didn't like that at all.
With the mask that you have? Like with the Matanza mask that you have, but with just that outfit?
So did they come up with this one, or was this something that you was this an idea you brought to them, saying, no, I don't like that, how about this?
Well, I guess the
it's like a bodysuit,
yeah, like that one was actually they used that for when they, like I wear that in the jail cell normally,
right?
So and I asked them, like, hey, can I just use this to wrestle, because I'm comfortable in it, and they just did a little alteration to the outfit, and I've been using it ever since. And it
just fits way better than what you were just describing with the Braun Strowman type, with the cargo pants and the, and all of that. Like that, I can't even imagine you not looking like that now.
Because that's what you picture someone who's chained up in a prison cell by their brother would wear, Looks very, very evil.
Yeah. Jeff, one thing I wanted to ask you is, I wanted to get your opinion on Matt Riddle, because he's a guy who's just blowing up. He's so in demand right now, and I've never been more blown away by someone picking up pro wrestling as quickly as he has. So I want to get your take on it as someone who's tagging with him and wrestling against him a lot.
like if I had one word to describe him, I would say natural.
Yeah.
Like you're definitely right. Like he picked it up so quick to make that transition from the UFC to like pro wrestling. It's kind of ridiculous how quick he's picked it up and how fast he's excelled at, you know, just in the position that he's in, you know. So, I mean, I'm happy to team with him and I'm happy to wrestle against him because I like wrestling that kind of style where it's a believable style. So I have no complaints at all. And I have, you know, if I could wrestle him like Jake Roberts mentioned it one time that he wrestled Ricky Steamboat like 97 days in a row.
Yeah.
And it was wonderful every time. Like if I could wrestle Riddle every 97 days in a row, that'd be great too. Because it's so easy. Like we don't have to, we don't memorize anything. You know, everything is like 95% of it is called on the fly, and you know we just figure out a finish and go from there.
Yeah, he's definitely special, just like you, and I think you guys have excellent chemistry as a tag team. Just off seeing you just at one time, because your relationship is not just in the ring. Like you guys have great chemistry. Just at you seem like you guys are good friends, you know, and you can't fake that, you know. The people don't. They know when they see something real.
Yeah, I mean, definitely fans can see if it's true or not, and you know, we're definitely not like the best of friends because he lives all the way in Philadelphia, and you know I'm all the way in California. But I mean, we're super cool with each other, and we have the same goal, and just to kick some ass and take some names.
The same goal of retiring Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania?
If I could get that payday, sure, why not?
Well, you've always said you really wanted to wrestle Angle. How close did that come to happening on the Indies? Because he was taking indie bookings, and then it said he stopped at March. And it seemed like you were about to get booked to wrestle against him, but he stopped taking bookings. How close were you to actually getting that match against Angle?
You know, from what I heard, it was pretty darn close, and it just the timing was just off by a little bit, and unfortunately, I know in 2015 I was pretty close, but then he ended up getting hurt in one of his matches in England, and I think I was pretty close to last year, but then he ended up re-signing with WWE. So you know, I'm not going to blame him. I'm not going to tell him don't re-sign with WWE to have a match with me. You know, so. But you know, I'm happy for what he's done and what he's doing now. You know, it's probably one of the few things I enjoy on Raw is him as the manager or the general manager.
Oh yeah, he's just impeccable when it comes to that.
You think you'll eventually get this match against Angle?
I hope so.
Do you hope it's in the WWE?
You know what? If it is, that'd be great. Because I'm sure more eyes would be seeing that than on an indie show. But I mean, you know, I don't really care. Like just being able to share a ring with him would be great.
Well, in teaming and working with Matt Riddle, have you learned anything from him and his MMA experience, and have you taught anything to him with all your wrestling background and him being so new?
You know, well, we spent a week in Germany together.
Was that for WXW?
Yeah, and they have and we stayed in the dorms, which is around the corner from where their school is. So we did some wrestling submission stuff a couple of days while we were there, and he taught me a lot. But the only thing is if I don't use it constantly, I forget it. So everything he taught me submission wise, it kind of went out the window, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean he has a great knowledge of submission stuff, and he taught me a couple cool things. But I only remembered one thing that of all the 10 things he tried to teach me.
What was that one thing? Don't tap.
Oh, it was a weird chokehold that I haven't used yet, but maybe I might do it down the road.
It's coming.
Hey Jeff, I was just this past weekend. I was at a music festival with Josh Barnett, and he was mentioning he had a match with you recently.
Yeah, we did a show in
Southgate.
Los Angeles area for AWS. Yeah, Southgate, and it was awesome, man. Like Josh Barnett is so good.
Yeah, he is.
I think he's very underrated as a wrestler worker, and he just gets it. Like he understands. Like he wants like the realism of it, and like he is so good. I mean, what better? I mean, former UFC champion, wrestled in New Japan, where I would love to go eventually one day. So.
And Josh is one of these guys like started fighting at a young age, and still kind of seems like he's in his prime, Jeff, in really good shape.
Oh yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to meet him in a dark alley, but.
So you guys had a match, and it was a singles match. Do you have many singles matches on when you're out there doing this?
You mean like the quote unquote shoot style, I guess?
Well, no, I mean I imagine you don't have many of those, just because who the hell can you really do them with that where it's where people are going to buy it? Like I'd buy it from you and Josh, but like you were like. Somebody without the pedigree that you two have, I don't want to see that, But I was just curious, like, because I've only seen you live. I've only seen you in tags or like 4-way situations. Do you do many singles matches?
Yeah, I normally do single matches, like when, but just like that style is rare for me to do.
Right.
Because like you mentioned, there's not many people that can do it realistically. I mean, there's a handful of guys that I train with out here that are pro wrestlers, like a Timothy Thatcher,
yeah,
or a JR Kratos, and we do that style on a regular. So
you guys just roll around and have matches like that, like.
Yeah, like we used to train together when actually is with Oliver John, because he heavily influenced like my career and Timothy Thatcher's career. So it kind of reflects on our work.
So Josh said that you guys you had nothing worked out, just and not even the finish, right?
No, not even the finish. He said, I'm just going to put you in a really painful submission. I was like, oh God, okay.
So
and it was wonderful. It was wonderful. It was one of my most favorite matches. It's definitely my top 5 now.
So when he puts you in that submission, do you like rush to tap out? Or are you like, oh man, should I wait till it hurts? Or does it like legit? He like legit puts you in that submission?
Oh, I mean, well, he didn't crank it on to 100, but it was definitely there. Like it definitely hurt
enough to let you know. Do you find it's hard when you guys are trying to work this style of making it really believable, that sometimes it might not look so believable because you're in there with a professional who really knows how to hit somebody and he's trying not to like break your jaw when he punches you or really make you tap out and hurt you?
No, not really. I mean, it's like I said, like Barnett as an example, he's so good at what he does that, I mean, if he wanted to knock me out, he probably could have. I mean, I don't think so. I don't think it's that hard.
What other guys like Matt Riddle and Josh Barnett and Timothy Thatcher do you think should be getting more mainstream exposure on the independent scene and booked more places and more notoriety?
There's definitely, like, in the UK, I just came back from England, and there's, like, their talent out there is ridiculously, like, they're so good out there.
Amazing out there,
I mean, out in America, I guess, like, one of my buddies, like I mentioned earlier, JR Kratos, he trains with myself and Timothy Thatcher. I mean, he's so good. Like, WWE's been looking at him for 2 years now, and, like, for him not to be doing what I do, it's a shame and it's a crime, I think. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I can't book people. I just recommend people, and it's up to the bookers to use them or not. But yeah, definitely a JR Kratos. Keith Lee is really good as well. I mean, he's been under the radar for a while, and now he's starting to break out. So
Yeah, he's been around a lot
definitely
longer than I realized, Jeff. Because when I was talking to him at a PCW show after the match, I was giving him a few pointers, and when he told me how long he had been around, I was surprised because I hadn't heard of him, and I was like thinking, wow, this guy's got a ton of potential. You know? So
yeah, like he's definitely good. Like I met him randomly, and like we had a show in Rhode Island, of all places, and you know it was so much fun. He's so good, and he's a big guy that can do a lot of cool stuff. You know. So
one thing I told him, I said, man, you got to work on them strikes. Got to work on them strikes, man, or don't do them, or forearms or something. Because when you, especially in front of intimate crowds, man, you got to bring that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, that's what I was getting at with like the whole Josh Barnett when you're trying to like make it really believable,
Yeah.
and you're a known UFC champion, and you're like pulling punches. It's kind of iffy.
So hey, so Josh told me when you guys had that match in Southgate, he told me that the people got with it, but they got kind of antsy at first.
yeah, because I think they're just. I mean, they put that style of match as the main event, and then they saw like 7 matches prior that are. I mean, I don't want to say. And I don't mean in a negative way, but the quote unquote indie match.
Yeah, the spot fest.
And then they see that style. It's like, you know, I mean, I think at the end of it, we definitely got them, we hooked them, but yeah, I think it was just something different, and they don't know how to react to it, I guess.
Well, you teach them, and apparently that's what happened, because I guess, you know, Josh said that, you know, like halfway through the people got really with it, you know, so. Yeah, it's tough. Like I don't like going on at the end of the night after everyone's doing all that stuff, and it's not because you can't follow it. It's just because the people get drained, man. You know, they get drained by
they've
all
seen
that
everything.
stuff. Yeah.
Well, do you ever have to reorganize a match when you've planned an entire match in the back, and then you're like, okay, well, we can't do that, and we can't do that, and we can't do that?
You talking to me or Jeff?
Well, both of you. Have you ever had that situation?
Not me anymore.
Not you anymore.
But that's a good question for Jeff now, because he actually still does stuff in his match.
So have you ever had that situation?
Well, I mean, there's like, I've had to change the match a few times, just because, like, again, like they've seen everything, so I try not to be the same as everybody, and in the sense of like match layout or whatnot. But I mean, for the most part, like sometimes they don't want to see that. They just want to see your highlight reel. So so sometimes we just say screw it, and we'll go balls to the wall. And then sometimes we'll say screw it, like less is more, you know.
So Jeff, you're comfortable going out there and just calling it on the fly, or, you know, having it all laid out ahead of time? You're good either way?
I'm good either way. I prefer to call it out there, but I learned this firsthand, like especially at like my first day at Lucha Underground.
Yeah.
I was like, well, we sat down with Chavo Guerrero was our agent, and I remember sitting down with him, and I was like, well, so what are you guys gonna do? I was like, well, we're just gonna call it out there, and he's like, well, it's TV, man. It's a little bit different here. Like, we need camera angles and capture it. And I was like, oh crap. So
Right.
that was pretty rough.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
something I was wondering about.
I can do either way. I prefer to call it on the fly because, you know, you never know with fans how they're going to react to things.
Yeah, I like the stuff that needs structure to be structured, but like for the most part, I like to be able to go like whichever direction the people tell me is the right way to go.
So like bullet points,
Yeah,
as far
kind of.
as like for Lucha
Yeah, no,
Underground, it'd be like, here are the bullet points we're gonna hit so that you know where to be at for camera angles, but everything else you guys get to fill in the blanks.
I get the
Yeah,
impression.
like,
Sorry, go ahead, Jeff. Sorry.
No. Yeah, I love bullet points. Like they're easier for me to figure out a match because, like, I mean, you know, and then I think it's tough too because sometimes not everybody can do that, can work with bullet points. You know, because you know what if midway through the match, like the fans don't care. You know, you gotta be able to change it on the fly. and a lot of people can't do that because they're so used to A to B to C to D.
And it's so painful to watch when that's going on, when the people aren't buying what they're selling and they know it, but they don't have anything else to sell them. Yeah, man. It gets bad. It gets real uncomfortable out there.
Well, in Lucha Underground, you've taken some hellacious falls and done some really cool stuff. That roof, when you and Mill fell through the roof of Dario's office, what was that experience like? Do you get to rehearse that? Or are they just like, no, you got one take at this and we're just going to go?
Yeah, it was just one take. I mean, the Ricky Banderas or Mil Muertes or whatever you want to call him, like he's really good.
He's amazing, man.
I mean, yeah, he's a great ring general, and he knows his stuff. And I remember he told me, he's like when we were on there, right before we went through the roof, he said, like, just hold on, brother. And I was like, oh God.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, and then we just went through, and it sucked. It sucked, but whatever. You know, it's for the show.
Who are the guys you had the best matches with, Lucha Underground, that you like working with the most? Not like trying to say you didn't like working with these other guys, but the ones that really stand out to you, that you had the best chemistry with.
Definitely Ricky Banderas.
Yeah.
I like that physical style of wrestling, and he's a very physical guy. Definitely him. Willie Mack is another one that I've had good chemistry with. Ricochet or Prince Puma or whoever you want to call him as. I mean, you can't have a bad match with him.
Yeah, you guys have
He's
really
so
good
good.
David and Goliath story there between you two.
Yes, I mean, he's definitely one of them. You know, and yeah, definitely those guys. I like working with Cage because, you know, he's a big dude that can go as well. So,
You know, I mean, the stuff I see him do, I just like, sometimes I'm thinking to myself, man, I'm glad he wasn't around back when I started, because nobody would have gave two shits about what I was doing. Man, he moves around in there like nothing. In his body, man, like, it's just insane looking. Like, I mean, he's got that rugged, like, you know, the bodybuilder body, but, like, you know, not all shaven down. He's got some body hair. He looks like a man, you know, like. Anyways.
What about working with Rey Mysterio?
you know, I can't not forget about him, but like he's one of those guys, like I said, like he's so good and at what he does, it's ridiculous. But yeah, I love working with him, man. I mean, it's an honor to work with a guy like him where, you know, like, you know, I'm just this new guy and I'm like, hey, my character, I have to suplex you. Are you cool with that? And for him to trust me to suplex him and not hurt him, it's great, you know.
Hey, Jeff, being in there with somebody like that the people have this emotional investment in for all these years, and they care that much about, like, it makes it a lot easier when you're in there with somebody like that. You know, I mean, you notice that?
Yeah, you know, like going back to the less is more thing, like he doesn't have to do much, and like the crowd loves him.
Because he's already over. He doesn't have to work to get over. He's already over. There's a huge difference between working to get over and already being over. It's two different types of work.
Well, what advice could you give to someone
just come out
working
there
to get
and
over?
just look around, and he'll be over.
Exactly. And once you get some steam on him, the people are right there. They're already behind him, you know?
And they're waiting for him to come back and kick your ass, essentially.
Yeah, and it's like taking candy from a baby. It's sweet.
So, Jeff, you've got Lucha Underground coming back. You've got the rest of the season, hopefully a season 4 and so on beyond that. But for Lucha Underground and beyond, what are your goals remaining in professional wrestling? Where you want to take Jeff Cobb in the future, and what are your bucket list items?
Well, definitely Japan. I just feel my style would work there great. I think the Japanese fans would be really receptive to, like, someone compared me once to Gary Albright. I mean, obviously a shorter version, but
yeah, but I see that. I totally see that.
For sure.
Definitely.
And probably with better hair. I can't
Yeah.
grow a mullet, but I mean, yeah, definitely. Like, I would love to go to Japan. That's definitely on my foreseeable future list, or my to-do list. And people always say, like WWE is like the NBA or the NFL, and I wouldn't rule going there out, but as of right now, I'm happy where I'm at.
So you're not waiting for WWF to call you?
I mean, don't get me wrong. If they called me, I would definitely entertain the offer.
Yeah.
But I mean, I definitely want to, I want to see, because like once you're with WWE, you're with WWE. You can't go anywhere. And when you're, like a quote unquote indie guy, you can pretty much go wherever you want to go, or take whatever booking you want to take.
It's good to be an indie wrestler. It's good to be an
Especially
independent
now.
professional wrestler. And you're a busy one, aren't you, Jeff?
I try to stay busy. I got
mean-
bills to pay.
Yeah. How many times a month are you wrestling?
I try to do at least like 3 a weekend. So, I had 12 shows this past month, and it's been good to me. My bills are paid. I'm having fun. I'm having the time of my life, traveling to places I've never been, or go back because I want to go back. So
Yeah, and so
it's great,
so you're a full-time professional wrestler, and you don't have to have a second job, correct?
Yeah, it's full-time wrestling.
That's what it's all
awesome.
about, man. Honestly, Jeff, that's what it's all about. Whether you're working for WWE, Lucha Underground, Impact, ROH, just Strictly Independence, or Japan, whatever. It's all about, like, this is what I'm doing for a living, and I'm good enough not to have another job.
Yeah, it's just the freedom of it. I did that juggle thing for a while, where I had a Monday to Friday job, and then I wrestled on Friday, Saturday, Sundays, and I could definitely tell, like, my body didn't like me for that, and just to be able to, just wrestle, work 3 times a week if I wanted to, and just have the weekend, like the week off to recover, and
Yeah.
I can go to the gym when I want to, and I can wake up when I want to, and I can go to bed when I want to. It's a great feeling.
Yeah, and you can focus on this job. Like, to really be successful at what we do, you have to be all in on it. And like, sometimes people can't help it. They have to have that other job, and they do the best they can. But ideally, you have to just be 100% focused on this to really, really be successful.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it's like with anything, the more time you put into it, the better your results are going to be.
What was your 9 to 5 when you had a 9 to 5?
Oh, I was working security at a high school.
That's crazy. I mean, it fits, making sense. Do you ever think about going back there now with all your Lucha Underground and Jeff Cobb exposure, and people being like, hey, that's that guy from TV?
Well, I ran with that for a while, where like some of the kids would see, like, they would YouTube or they would Google stuff, and they would see like my moveset, and they're like, oh, so if I act up, are you going to do this to me? Sometimes I'm like, yeah, but it was a good little conversation starter with some of the kids.
Well, I know you'll be back in LA for Bar Wrestling on June 8th. What other shows you got coming up before we let you go? Or what else are you working on that we could plug? We got Lucha Underground coming back tonight.
Yeah, Lucha Underground's coming back to TV today. I got a couple, like, I'm doing a San Diego loop this weekend. I'll be in the main event with Rey Mysterio, so that's going to be great.
Where's that?
Down in San Diego for FCW.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a fundraiser for a local. I believe it's a local high school. So
Awesome.
And they got Rey Mysterio to come on board, so I'm gonna be in a match with him. So it's gonna be fun. I mean, anytime you can share a ring with someone who's been there and done that.
Is this the first time wrestling Rey as Jeff Cobb?
Yeah. So I'm really excited about that as well.
That should be interesting.
So,
Oh, you guys are wrestling each
every
other?
time. Yeah, well, it's like a triple threat tag team match. So
Ah.
there's 6 of us in the match, but it's Pentagon and Phoenix will be a tag team, Rey Mysterio and Dragon Azteca are another tag team. So
That's gonna rule.
you know,
I have
again,
a feeling
I'm still
that
going to be in the room with or in the ring with him. So
nice. I have a feeling that Rey Mysterio and Dragon Azteca are going to come out the victors in that match. Just guessing, Jeff.
hey, you can't have that, man. It's if they're in San Diego and he's from San Diego, you know, every time your hometown guy always has to lose, right?
Oh,
we
you
were
know,
talking
what
about
did
this
you
earlier.
did you read my tweet last night about that? When AJ lost.
I saw some of that. Yeah,
man.
I don't get it sometimes, but whatever.
I'm all, you know, I don't like that. I'm all about making the people happy, not screwing with them or screwing with the talent, just to humble him or check his attitude. I've never been a fan of that. But I guess I understand why they do it. It's just not the way I would do it. There's other ways of checking people's attitude, Jeff.
I think they do that for every person, right? Like,
Damn near, man.
If they did it once in a while, I wouldn't really care too much. But you know, it's like every time. Come on.
Yeah, not a fan of it. But I'm not the boss, so like that's whatever. So hey, Jeff, I really appreciate you coming on, man. Thank you so much.
Hey. Oh, thank you for having me on, man. It's been awesome.
And I hopefully, I guarantee we'll see each other somewhere soon. I'm just not sure where it is because I have no clue what my schedule is. So, thanks, Jeff. Hey, thank you so much, man. And Bill Handstock from Up Rocks with Spandex is here. He joined us too, and thank you, Bill.
Thank you,
Jeff. Thank you, man. Have an awesome day.
Hey,
Jeff,
you too,
one
man.
more time. Hey,
definitely
wait.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
okay. Go.
Give us all where they can find you on social media, like if you have a pro wrestling tees store, any of that before we let you go, because I want you to plug all that stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Catch me on Twitter. It's Mr. Athletic J Cobb. Facebook Jeff Cobb. Instagram Jeff Cobb. Pro Wrestling Tees. Just search Jeff Cobb. For some odd reason, Matt Hardy stuff comes up when you type in Jeff Cobb, but I haven't figured that out yet either.
You should let them know about that, man. It's affecting your
no,
money.
No, well, I mean, if I could get that rub for Matt Hardy Pro Wrestling Tees stuff, then that's fine by me because I'm sure he makes a killing off of those. But no, yeah, it's weird. Like you type in Jeff Cobb and my picture will come up, and then Matt Hardy. So, and I'm not the Matt Hardy one. So, yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it, man.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Okay, man. Have a great day.
You too, bud.
Sweet. Well, hey, I was gonna say we'll be right back, but I don't know if we need to be right back for anything,
I don't think we
you
need
guys.
to be right back. Mark, what do you think?
Oh, you guys, we can end it out now if you want.
Yeah, let's do it, man. Hey, hey, Bill. Thank you so much, man.
thanks for
I
having me, man.
appreciate you coming.
Always a pleasure.
And thank you for helping out with the Jeff Cobb interview just now because you guys made that. I appreciate it. All right, you guys. Hey, so that's pretty much it for this week here on X-Pac 12360. We'll see y'all next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, Sean Waltman, producers Jimbo Frank and TK Trinidad, managing producer of AfterBuzz TV Wrestling Mark Donica, and the entire X-Pac 12360 staff, we would like to thank you for tuning in. Like us on Facebook, rate and comment on iTunes and YouTube. Follow X-Pac on Twitter @TheRealXpac and email us at xpac12360show@gmail.com. This has been a presentation of the AfterBuzz TV Network. Buzz you later.